Okay, we bombed Iran days ago. And according to the Board of Peace, if you get a chance, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, you might not be, especially if you're a Christian. This past year, one good thing that came out of this past year is two words: Zionism and dispensation. And as far as dispensation, they use in Christianity. They might use it in other faiths as well. To something like, if someone says, "Well, I have to follow what Jesus commanded me to do," and then someone using dispensation will say, "No, you don't," because he was speaking to those prophets at that time, the people of that time, that era. We're no longer in that era. That was for them. We get the rewards from that. So we're over here in, let's say, the era of grace or whatever they have names for it. And so we really don't have to do any of that stuff. We believe this or that or say this prayer or whatever. And so we're under this over here. We're not under those rules. We're over here. Different time, different era. We're different people now. Different message for us. That's baloney, in my opinion. But that's how they use dispensation. And there's many different forms of, or examples of dispensation in the Christian faith. That's why that's how you get different denominations. So well, I have to do exactly what Jesus says. Jesus says, no, you actually don't. Okay, there's two different denominations right there. That's how it breaks down. So it's for some people to take a look at the word dispensation and say, what is that? Let's go deeper. Most won't, but some will. Another thing is Zionism, or the Zionist, or whatever, that is. I learned that early on because the person that I was studying with was really hardcore against that whole idea. Without giving too much of my own opinion, I'm not a supporter of a Zionist belief. I think that's incorrect. But many Christians are actually following churches and teachers that are Zionist. This chosen people idea. It's not biblical. But, you'll have to figure that out on your own. But so now, someone who's really looking into some things might look into dispensation. Say, what is this? How does this affect me? How does this apply? And someone else can look at Zionism or the Zionist. Who are they? How does this? What are they talking about? These Zionist Christians? Am I one of those? Am I doing that? Or should I be doing that or whatever? And yeah, you should know that. Because they go real heavy on Revelation and twisting it up in a certain way and all this kind of crazy stuff. And it hasn't been around forever. It's actually, some will dispute that, but the Zionist idea is actually, it's an old idea. But as far as biblically for Christians, it might be 100 years old. I could be wrong on that, but here's something you could do. Go to like Instagram. I don't do TikTok. I think they're on TikTok. And you look up Jews for Palestine. And there's many different channels like that. Jews for Palestine. You're like, what? And look at, you see these guys with the hats and the braids, and some rabbis, some not. I don't know if they're Hasidic Jews. I don't think they're Hasidic. But anyway, you look at and it's the epitome of what a Jew looks like. And so I believe it's legit. And the guy will tell you that we've lived amongst the Palestinians for hundreds of years. We've been in and amongst this community. We've gotten along. They're saying the same thing about the Iranians. Hey, we've always gotten along with these people. Yeah, we don't have the same belief. But they say, well, they'll ask, well, what's this stuff with Palestine and all this? Well, that's the Zionist Jews. Okay? Now, as Westerners, we do this thing where we look at everyone as a monolith. Oh, Iranians, they're all like this. No, they're split just like everybody else. Americans, well, they're all Trump-loving and Dallas Cowboy fans. No, we're not. We're very divided. So you can't see us as just as one massive monolith of all the same. We're not. We're heavily divided. Every culture, every country is like this. So if you look at Jews, you think, oh, all Jews are this way. No, they're just as divided as every other group. It's just a human thing. It's who we are. It's characteristic. But if you look at these Jews will say, well, we're following Judaism. Okay. And we have to do there's things we have to do, because this Zionism is not it. This is not us. There's people of Jewish faith that have gone that route, and you see what they're doing. And I'm not telling you which way to go, whatever. But if you're someone who's curious, and this has kind of got you should know, if like, let's say you're going to a church, you need to know, is my church kind of a Zionist? Are they pro this? Is this, what's the sign out front saying? We might be aligned with that, because you really want to know if what you're following is something like that. You need to know if you're aligning with that or not, and if it's biblical. Because if it's not, you need to get out of there. Okay, same thing with dispensations. That's where we get all the denominations from. You need to make sure that whatever your group believes, well, we do it like this. You need to know what that is. And then hopefully you've read your Bible and you can distinguish whether it's correct or not. But two words that came out of this past year that I think are pretty important: Zionism and dispensation. You should know what they mean. You should know how it applies to you. And you should know if you are unwittingly involved in it, or maybe supporting something that is. And I'll be perfectly honest, as a Christian who like end times and that sort of thing, I've been around that my whole journey with this thing, but this Iran stuff has me worried. The stuff with Israel, I do not support this war with Israel. Forget that. It's just another con job. We're getting lied to again. But yeah, I'm going off on a tangent. You should know what Zionism is. You should know what dispensation is and how it applies to you. And you could watch videos and get the gist of how this is all playing out. And you can just title in pro-Zionism, or again, pro whatever. And do your research that way, have to. And then see if you need to go any further, because you really should know, especially if you're some kind of Christian, you really should know what both of these are and how they affect you. And make sure that you're not mistakenly a part of something that you don't actually believe in. Anyhow, love you, God bless.